Would you like the one with the most sprinkles or the least sprinkles?
The most.
So you're on the fork?
It makes me angry. Yeah.
I can use my hands.
Okay. Just knowing that neither one would be the way that they are if DCYF had done their job.
DCYF, the agency entrusted with protecting Washington's most vulnerable, our children.
Tilly. I'm gonna check on your sister, okay?
Leo, who goes by Bubby, is one of them.
Hi. Hi.
So is Tilly, short for Matilda. Children born into different families miles apart. What they share were clear, documented warning signs of neglect.
People were saying something horrible is gonna happen, and it was still completely ignored.
And then something horrible did happen.
Bubby burned alive. A fire left him with burns over 75% of his body. Matilda suffocated, left quadriplegic with cerebral palsy, deaf, blind, and mute.
We have a good routine, but it is not easy. And
out of that pain, they found each other. They're siblings now, both adopted by Sarah and David Strode of Lakewood.
I tell my kids, like, you were meant to be Strodes.
Here comes Kitty.
Oh, Bubby, I tell you what.
Records show not only did DCYF fail these kids when it mattered most, but after they made another mistake, one that could cost taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. We'll get to that in a moment, but first it's important to know the details behind what happened to these children.
People within DCYF knew. They knew what was going to happen.
Bubby was born with meth in his system. Child Protective Services, CPS, knew that, but let his biological parents take him home. Caseworkers were supposed to check on him and his living conditions. Records show they never looked inside. They should have. If they did, they would have seen hazards that investigators say led to this devastating fire. At just 8 months old, Bubby was trapped inside, burning alone. During a recorded call, Bubby's biological father told investigators he'd left the baby for just a few minutes.
It was a big ball of fire, and I just knew that my baby was in there.
In the aftermath, investigators found tangled wires running from the main house to the shed that Bubby lived in, and this, a charred space heater. Neighbors say it was one of many that Bubby was often left next to, strapped in a car seat all day.
It was like 80, 90 degrees in there with 3 heaters going.
It was a recipe for disaster.
When Bubby was pulled from the flames, a neighbor described his skin as literally melting. He was airlifted to Harborview, where a nurse described his wounds as the most severe I have ever encountered. Matilda was also born with drugs in her system. This time, the state acted, placing her with her grandmother with an important condition. A court order saying Matilda should not be left unsupervised with her parents anytime. A critical ruling, the grandmother says. DCYF never told her.
The biological parents used heroin, fell asleep. Somehow Matilda was suffocated and found unresponsive and face down at 5 weeks old. And that's all because red flags were ignored.
The Strodes sued the state for what happened and for what comes next. A lifetime of complex, expensive medical needs.
Yeah, with Bubby, it's hard because the kiddo is going to require surgeries his entire life. You woke up.
With Matilda,
she can't suck and she can't swallow.
Every moment requires care.
So she breathes through the trach.
In 25 years, none of us have seen injuries as horrific as have been suffered by Bubby and Matilda.
Marty McLean, who represents the Strodes, knows the stakes. Bubby's lawsuit seeks $165 million. Matilda's $115 million, potentially totaling $280 million.
Remember earlier we told you about another mistake that the state made, one that could cost taxpayers millions? Well, it has to do with lawsuits just like Bubby and Matilda's that could cause a big payout. But the state has a safety net: insurance.
The state has decided to, frankly, buy some of the most expensive insurance anyone has ever heard of.
Taxpayers pay for it, $16 million in premiums each year. That covers up to $50 million for each case. To be covered, the state had a timeline to tell their insurance company about the lawsuits.
All they had to do was take 30 seconds and email the people at these insurance companies, and we wouldn't be here today.
That did not happen.
And they sat on their hands and did nothing.
The state blew the deadline. DCYF had 81 days to notify its insurers. They waited 125 days to send an email.
The email literally was one sentence.
Wow. One sentence took 4 months.
4 months, and most certainly cost the taxpayers plenty.
Yeah, you looked at the camera.
As the Strode's lawsuit moves forward, taxpayers, not insurance companies, are likely on the hook. One insurance provider even put it in writing. In a letter to the state, they said it failed to provide timely notice of Matilda and the Strode's claims, resulting in no coverage. King 5 reached out to DCYF asking why and how the state missed such a critical deadline. The agency responded, "Due to active litigation, we cannot comment."
Andy, this is unprecedented. This is a screw-up of such magnitude that, frankly, heads should roll.
Now the harm these children have endured is no longer just theirs to bear. Taxpayers may now share the cost.
And I almost feel like it's intentional now. At this point, I really don't have faith that they are going to do what is right.
And Bubby and Matilda's cases are now moving through the legal system. The Strodes and the state will sit down for mediation next week, but their attorneys tell us if there's no resolution, these cases are likely headed to trial. Joyce and Greg?
It's just heartbreaking, and obviously it's going to be costly. Do we know how the state missed the deadline and if anyone's going to be held accountable?
That's the big question, right? We're not quite sure. We did ask the state that, and what we found in documents is that when there's no claims reported, it helps keep that insurance lower. So whether the state missed due to mismanagement, oversight, or if it was potentially done on purpose, the state has not explained why, and what is clear is it's going to be pretty costly.
All right, Andy, thank you.
Thanks.
Wow.